Welcome to Recap King. In this video, we will explain Kingsman, the Secret Service. This movie tells the story of a teenage boy trained by a secret agent to become part of the most prestigious secret organization. When a villain tries to launch a diabolical plan to kill everyone, he must fight to stop him. Will the secret agents succeed in saving humanity? Let's find out in Kingsman, the Secret Service. Kingsman, the Secret Service begins in 1997, where a group of secret agents infiltrates a castle in the Middle East to obtain information. However, in the middle of the mission, one of the secret agents named Unwin had to die because he sacrificed himself to protect his superior, Harry Hart, from a suicide bombing. After the incident, Harry often blamed himself for Lee's death. After returning to London, Harry went to Lee's wife, Michelle, and their young son, Eggsy, to condolence for Lee's death. Michelle, who still looks devastated over her husband's death, refuses the Medal of Honor given by Harry. Harry then approached Eggsy and gave the medal to the boy, saying to keep the medal and call the emergency number on the back if he needed his help. Before leaving, Harry advised Eggsy to always take care of himself and protect his mother. 17 years later, a professor named Arnold is being held captive by a gang of criminals in a cabin in the mountains. Not long after, there was a knock on the door, and when one of the criminals opened the door, a man in fine clothes was already standing in front of him and killed the criminal. The man is Lancelot, a secret agent who also participated in the mission in the Middle East that killed Eggsy's father several years ago. In a short time, Lancelot slaughtered the entire herd of criminals. When he was about to take Professor Arnold out of there, he was killed by a woman named Gazelle. Gazelle is an assassin employed by Richmond Valentine, an internet billionaire and philanthropist who has offered everyone in the world SIM cards that grant free cellular and internet connectivity. Valentine was the one who had kidnapped Arnold. Because Lancelot's rescue mission failed, Valentine persuaded the professor to cooperate with him. The scene then moves to show Harry entering a tailor shop named Kingsman, which turns out to be the headquarters of Kingsman, a private intelligence service founded by the British elite who lost their heirs in World War I and put their money towards protecting the world. Harry then enters a room to attend a meeting with his superior, Arthur, and the other high-ranking Kingsmen. They are discussing the incident that killed Lancelot in the rescue mission of Professor Arnold and agreed to recruit a new agent who will replace Lancelot's position in Kingsman. After the meeting is over, Merlin, Kingsman's technical support operative, enters the room to tell Harry and Arthur the investigation results of the incident that killed Lancelot. Arthur then asks Harry to continue Lancelot's mission and find out what Professor Arnold is planning and who has killed Lancelot. The scene then switches and shows Eggsy, who has now grown into a young man who was forced to be dropped out of training for the Royal Marines despite his intelligence and talents. Eggsy now lives with his mom, stepfather, Dean, and baby sister. Eggsy's relationship with his stepfather does not get along, with Dean often mocking him and mistreating Michelle. Even so, Eggsy loves his baby sister very much and cares for her very much. While at his regular bar, Eggsy and his friends get into an argument with a group of delinquents who are his stepfather's henchmen. They almost caused a commotion, but Eggsy immediately ordered his friends to get out of there. After exiting the bar, Eggsy told his friends that he had managed to steal the car keys from one of the thugs. Without thinking, Eggsy and his friends immediately got into the car and made fun of the car's owner in return for insulting him. However, Eggsy's reckless action was immediately noticed by the police who were patrolling the area. Eggsy tries to avoid being chased by the police, and when he is in a corner, he tells his friends to run away, while he will face the police alone. Eggsy was immediately arrested at the police station and threatened with imprisonment for 18 months. After being arrested for stealing a car, Eggsy then remembered the medal Harry had given him and decided to call the number. Not long after, Harry immediately arranged for Eggsy's release and picked him up at the police station. Harry and Eggsy then visit Eggsy's regular bar. They engage in a serious conversation about Harry revealing himself as a secret agent of the Kingsman, just like Eggsy's father, with the code name Galahad. Harry then gets into a fight with Eggsy's stepfather's henchmen when one of them insults him. It didn't take long for Harry to beat up the delinquents, which made Eggsy amazed at his abilities. After Eggsy returned home, Dean, knowing about Eggsy's feud with his henchmen, then attacked him. Michelle intends to stop Dean before he hurts his son, but Dean threatens Michelle with a knife. Luckily, Harry had put a tracking device on Eggsy and spoke through the device that he would report Dean to the police if he didn't release Eggsy. The confused Dean then let go of Eggsy, and Eggsy rushed out after Harry asked him to come to a tailor shop called Kingsman. Arriving there, Eggsy again meets with Harry, who explains the recruitment of new members of the Kingsmen to replace the position of Agent Lancelot, who was killed while carrying out his mission. Harry and Eggsy then head to the Kingsman headquarters, where Eggsy and the other candidates will take every test Merlin has prepared. Eggsy gets acquainted with several other candidates such as Roxy, a girl recommended by a Kingsman agent, and Charlie, a rich young man who often underestimates him. In the evening, Eggsy and the other candidates go straight to the first test when Merlin sinks the room they are sleeping in, forcing Eggsy and the candidates to find a way to get out of there before they run out of breath. The other candidates tried to save themselves using a hose in the drain, but Eggsy cleverly knows about the double-sided mirror in the room and tries to break it. Eggsy and the other candidates survived and passed the exam after the mirror broke. After receiving information from Merlin that Professor Arnold is back at work as if nothing had happened after the kidnapping incident, Harry then tries to interrogate him at Imperial College London to find out about the criminal who killed Lancelot. However, while Harry was questioning Arnold, a microchip embedded in his neck exploded and instantly killed him. Shortly after, two men are seen attacking Harry before blowing up the place. On the other hand, Valentine begins to carry out his evil plan under the guise of saving the world in his own way. He tried to persuade someone in the White House in the United States to smooth out his plans. Valentine intentionally implanted a microchip in Professor Arnold's neck, where the chip would automatically explode if the person being implanted by the chip felt threatened or frightened. Harry immediately received intensive care at the Kingsman headquarters. On the other hand, Eggsy and the other candidates took another dangerous training test and began to be eliminated one by one. During the training, Eggsy and other candidates were asked to care for and train a puppy who would later become their partner in carrying out missions. Elsewhere, Valentine is seen persuading the King of Sweden to agree to his plans for chip implants. The king then agreed to Valentine's plan because he made a sweet promise about the world's safety. At the same time, Tilda, the crown princess, firmly rejected the plan, so Valentine was forced to tell Gazelle to imprison the princess. Meanwhile, Harry, who has recovered from his injury, is ready to return to his mission. Eggsy visited him and told Harry about his achievements during the exams. Merlin then tells Harry that he managed to trace the explosion signal from the incident that killed Professor Arnold to Valentine's company that produced the chip. Eggsy, Harry and Merlin watch a video where Valentine promotes the latest SIM card from his company. Valentine claims that the SIM card guarantees free unlimited calls and free internet to its users. With Merlin's help, Harry then disguises himself as a billionaire philanthropist who invests huge sums of money into Valentine's company so he can meet him in person. Valentine then invited Harry to dinner at his house. Valentine was already suspicious of Harry, so he decided to mix nano-tracking gel into Harry's wine to spy on his movements. Harry immediately informed Arthur of the results of his investigation at Valentine's house. Harry learns of Valentine's connection to an obscure hate group's church in Kentucky. On the other hand, cases of the disappearance of state officials and the most influential people increased significantly along with the increasing demand for Valentine's latest SIM card, which immediately attracted the attention of people worldwide. Meanwhile, Eggsy and the candidates undergo a very dangerous test, namely free fall from a plane in the air at a certain height. Only Eggsy, Roxy and Charlie successfully pass the test and advance to the next stage. The three remaining candidates then take a loyalty test on Kingsman, where they are all tied to train tracks and forced to reveal information about Kingsman to someone who is interrogating them. In this test, only Eggsy and Roxy managed to pass, as they remained faithful to the end and didn't divulge anything about the Kingsman, while Charlie was on the opposite side and was more concerned with his own safety. After that, Eggsy was summoned by Arthur to his room while Roxy was asked to meet Merlin. The two remaining candidates will take the final exam to determine who will become the new Kingsman member. However, the final test was apparently very tough for Eggsy and he refused to complete it, as he was asked to shoot the puppy he raised during the training process. Eggsy failed the exam out of pity, and Roxy was finally chosen as a new member of Kingsman and bears the name Lancelot. After failing the test to become a new member of Kingsman, Eggsy returns home with his dog. Eggsy was very happy when he met his mother, but he immediately became angry when he saw the bruises on his mother's face caused by Dean. However, just as Eggsy was about to make calculations with his stepfather, Harry directed him back to his residence and explained the final exam. The gun offered to the participants to kill their dog was a gun without a bullet. Not long after that, Harry received a call from Merlin informing him that Valentine would soon be testing his SIM card product at the church congregation in Kentucky. Harry was rushing to travel there, wearing glasses containing a video transceiver. Upon learning of Harry's arrival at the church, Valentine immediately activated the SIM card at the church, triggering a signal that caused the church congregation and Harry to become murderously violent. Harry's spy training leaves him as the only survivor. Harry realized that he was exposed to radiation from Valentine's SIM card, then rushed out of the church after slaughtering almost everyone there. Outside the church, Valentine explains what happened and his plan before he shoots Harry, leaving Eggsy and Merlin, who watched everything that happened via the transceiver in Harry's glasses, into shock. After learning that Harry had died on a mission, Eggsy rushed back to the Kingsman headquarters to meet Arthur. However, Eggsy quickly noticed that Arthur, the leader of the Kingsmen, had a scar on his neck like the one on Professor Arnold. Arthur later revealed that Valentine planned to transmit his neurological waves to the rest of the world via a satellite network. Valentine managed to persuade Arthur by saying that the annihilation of most of humanity today will prevent the extinction of mankind through global warming in the future. Arthur also said that only those chosen by Valentine would not be affected. Arthur then tries to kill Eggsy with a poisoned drink, but Eggsy cleverly swapped his glass for Arthur's, so Arthur ended up poisoning himself. After that, Eggsy took out the chip from Arthur's neck and gave it to Merlin. Eggsy, Merlin and Roxy rush to devise a plan to stop Valentine. Roxy is tasked with destroying one of Valentine's satellites in space using high-altitude balloons while Merlin and Eggsy investigate the chip embedded in Arthur's neck. Merlin managed to get information about a chip that turns out to counteract radiation from mass-produced SIM cards, so they won't be affected. However, the chip can be life-threatening because Valentine can detonate it at any time. Merlin then flies Eggsy to Valentine's base, where he will disguise himself as Arthur to fulfill Valentine's invitation. Eggsy manages to trick the guards at Valentine's headquarters until he finally arrives at the party venue. However, his disguise did not last long because his true identity was discovered by Charlie, who attended the meeting with his family. After all, Valentine invited him, which caused Eggsy and Merlin to find themselves precarious. On the other hand, Roxy finally managed to destroy Valentine's satellite in space. But as it turns out, Valentine has a replacement satellite, although it takes a while to reactivate it. Because he was getting cornered, Eggsy then suggested that Merlin activate the implanted chip's failsafe, killing almost everyone with a chip. After successfully landing safely, Roxy then called Michelle and asked her to lock her daughter in the bathroom, according to Eggsy's request. At the same time, Valentine activates the signal, triggering a worldwide pandemonium, where everyone attacks each other and acts anarchy, including Michelle trying to kill her daughter. Eggsy, who intends to stop Valentine, must face Gazelle, where the two engage in a fierce battle. Eggsy eventually kills Gazelle and uses one of her sharp prosthetic limbs to stab Valentine and kill the man. Valentine's death automatically stops the signal and ends the chaos around the world. After that, Eggsy shares a sexual experience with Tilda, the crown princess of Sweden, whom Valentine had kidnapped earlier. Not long after, Eggsy, now Galahad in Harry's place, came over to his mother at her regular bar with Dean. Eggsy offers his mother and his baby sister a new home away from his abusive stepfather. Hearing this, Dean became very angry and intended to attack Eggsy, but the current Eggsy could easily knock out Dean with a single strike and take on his minions alone. The film ends.